Hi everyone, it's Den here. Well, coffee in hand. It is early in the morning, and this is the second part of the LED 101 tutorial. We are going to take the bit of information that we had yesterday about different LEDs, and we're going to put them together to make a couple of tools. We're going to make these here, and I have a hilarious story about yesterday. I'm going to keep this short. I am always learning. 15 years ago, I made my first LED-based light painting tool here on the screen. And 15 years later, I am still learning something. And I spent the entire day in here yesterday, and I made the tools, cut the whole tutorial, and then pulled the pin at 9 o'clock and realized that I had completely cocked it up. Because, as I mentioned in the first tutorial, I am a dipshit, and I don't know much. And I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to keep it really concise and short. What I learned yesterday, and I'm going to start sort of scrolling a Wikipedia page down the screen now where I spent time and you can go spend time. There is so much information on the internet about this, but we put together a tool using two AAA batteries supplying 3 volts. I found out during the tutorial that it wasn't powering all of the LEDs. Certain colors, certain types, it just wouldn't power. So I cut the tutorial, I went and learned a whole bunch of stuff, came back, and we persevered. What I found out, and what we're going to do today, is that my trusty old 9-volt battery circuit with a resistor in it, like we talked about, but we'll cover that, just works with all LEDs. And weirdly, so does my little button battery one, right? Now that will have something to do with the fact this is some fancy pants 3-volt battery, whatever, I don't know. What I learned yesterday is this, that I am learning constantly, and I'm not interested in hour-long tutorials faffing about describing to you all that stuff. So I pulled the tutorial. So today we're going to go over to the workbench, we're going to build these two, and I reckon the 9-volt one is the one. It's a little bigger, but damn, it's cool. That battery will last forever. The other thing that I did yesterday, 2 things that were a bit of a fail. One is that the entire footage on the desktop was not in focus properly. I have not made a lot of tutorials at the bench. We're going to be making a lot, so I want to get that right. The other thing is I probably spent a little bit too much time focusing on how to strip a wire and solder a wire to another wire. All I'm going to be doing over there is showing you fundamentally how I put it together. We're going to be cutting through all the rubbish of trimming wires and stuff. I'll be doing this sort of thing a lot. I've got this camera here that focuses really close. I'm just going to be showing you the circuit. You can pause the video, look at it. We'll figure out where the circuit is, how it works. But this is not going to be an hour-long tutorial on how to strip and solder wire. Another thing you'll notice, there's hot glue on here. I like shit basic, and hot glue rocks. Okay, let's get into it. 3-volt AAA battery tool, gone. We're not going to muck around with that. 9-volt and button light, we're going to go and make these, and at the end we're going to come back here and we're going to actually do some light writing with it. So there we go. Dipshit Den would appear to be my new nickname, and we are going to have a bunch of fun over at the workbench. My god, the studio, honestly, it's like a bomb went off in here last night. So yeah, I'm going to put that day down to experience, and I hope we have a bunch of fun over there hacking together a bit of a light painting tool. Let's get into it. All right, let's power into it. I am not going to sit at this workbench with you here without touching on a safety thing. When you use solder, fumes come off it, right? I have a fan sitting here on my bench top that blows the fumes away. I have 2 types of wire. I have red wire and I have black wire. Red is positive, black is negative. We are going to cut wire regularly, and the way I do it is I have a pair of, I'll show you how. I have a pair of side cutters, right? And I use the side cutters to cut the wire, and you will probably strip your wire this way, so you just delicately grip the end. You pull it, and there you go. There's our wire, and we can solder it and do bits and pieces with it. Each time I trim the end of a wire, I tend to put a little bit of solder on it. It's called tinning, right? I put a bit of solder on it, and then that allows us to solder things. Now, I use a thing called wire strippers. So this is, it looks like a dinosaur, rah, rah, rah. like that. When you're stripping a lot of wires, you use these things. So there we go. That is the basics of how to strip a wire. We're not going to get into that heaps. But what we are going to talk about is things that are essential. And in the end of this tool here that we looked at the other day, that is my little button one, this is 3D printed. Now, if you have a 3D printer, putting something like this together is pretty straightforward. This is the internals of it. And in there is a power source. So we've got the button battery goes in here. Then we've got some wiring in there that goes through a button, right? And the button turns, sends the power through to the LED. And then in the end here, we've got this little device that we put our wires into. That comes in a kit comes in a little bag like this. Now, I'm going to put all of these things on the screen so you can see what they look like. I buy them from a shop here in Australia. You will be able to get them somewhere there. So these things come like this in a little bag. And what that means is that those little prongs in there look like this. Come on, focus. They look like that. And we need to put a black and a red wire in there. And you can see I've soldered it in there. So I've done the black one. I'm just going to do the red one. And as always, there will be some fancy pants electronics way to do this. I whack a bit of solder in there, whack the wire on there, solder it in. Right, good enough. We're not wiring up the space shuttle. There we go. Done. And they sit on this thing, cut them off. Right, and then these go into there, like that. You can't really cock it up. There's a little retaining clip on the back that lines up with the things on the back here. So I jab them in there. I just poke them in and they seat. You can see that the little retainers are in there, and then that's where our LEDs go in. And always remember, the red is positive, long leg is positive, and it just goes in, just pokes in like that. Wicked. All right, that's done. So let's design a circuit. So we're going to use a 9-volt battery, and I'm just going to lay our circuit out here on the bench top. So we have our 9-volt battery. We're going to have a switch, a button, sorry, like that. Now there's various types of buttons. This is the one that I use in the ball of light tool, right? They're expensive, relatively. These are super cheap, and also they're really small. So what we're going to do with all of these, is this is going to be sitting on top of there, like that. And you can see how the legs sit up. We can just flatten these legs out. Watch this. So I'm just bending those like that, and like that, so I can push it flat. And there we are. Have a look at that. That will now sit flat on there, and that will come clear in a minute why we're doing that. Okay, so here's our circuit. We've got a 9-volt battery. We've got where our LED goes, and I'll just put the LED in there. And we've got this 9-volt battery holder, and that has positive and negative legs on it. And you can tell because it says inside there positive and negative, and these only go one way. You can't get it wrong. That goes in there. Now, my design is, so here's the design. So we're going to put all of the circuitry on the back of the 9-volt battery so we can get the 9-volt battery in and out. I'll show you how it's going to work. So I like the idea of having our little connector there. We're going to put the switch in the middle, and then the leads go down here. And it's really easy and nice way to create a circuit. Now we have to have a resistor in this circuit, and I'm just going to put a 150 ohm resistor in. So this is how it's going to look. So there's our positive there. As promised, I'm not going to be faffing around with this. You're going to have a look from the top. I'm probably even just going to fast forward through this bit. First thing I'm going to do actually is a bit of super glue. I'm just going to lock this onto here where I want it to go so it doesn't move around. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to stick that on there. Now what I will say is, before I glue anything down, I always test my circuit. So okay, so there's our circuit. Okay, I want to make sure that that is absolutely in focus. We've got our positive leg through the resistor, important for a 9-volt battery. Okay, so we've got positive leg through the resistor, through the button, and out into the LED, back around the black wire, the negative, and to the negative pole of the battery. So there we go. You can screenshot that, pause that, whatever you want to do. There it is. Nice. And before I lock anything down, we want to make sure it works. And like I was saying before, what I discovered yesterday around about this time is that some LEDs just don't work. So I'm going to let me grab an amber one, which I know was problematic yesterday. It seems to be reds and ambers, as you would have seen in the Wikipedia article. So here is the coolness of how this works. So there's our blue LED. Swap that out. Red wire, long leg, all right. Boom, bright as. It's so good, oh my gosh. Caused me so much stress yesterday. Okay, hot glue gun on, and there's red. So this works just fine. Ah, that's so good. And it's nice and tidy, look how nice and compact it is. Next thing we're gonna make is one with a little button battery, which is fundamentally the same circuit as that. The one I made yesterday looked like that. And it was cool because it's very, very compact. Very, very compact. With the battery out. That's kind of all it is there. Which is pretty neat. Now there are these little button lights you can get. I use them at workshops. And I'll show you on the screen now. You can buy them, a billion of them for nothing off AliExpress or whatever. And you can modify those with LEDs. The problem is that it's permanent. What I love about this is that you can, in theory, have this in your kit and just have an unlimited number of LEDs in your pocket and you're good to go because they're super small. All right, I'm going to tidy. So here's my hot glue gun. Big ass hot glue. Hello, I'm a hot glue gun. Okay. So I'll show you how, because you can see that from above there. So what I do is I just put a little bit in, just to sort of initially lock stuff in where I want it. Now you don't want to get any glue, obviously, on the button, right? I just go hardcore, look at that. Wah! Because why not? Over there. Oh my gosh, there will be some people watching this absolutely cringing, but whatever. I think it's great. Okay, there we go. There it is. Look at that. Okay, that's going to set over there. So here we go. I want to make this as absolutely compact as possible. So what I want to do is I'm going to pop that on there like that. And then our LED connector is going to go like this. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop a bit of super glue on the back of here just to hold it in place like that. While that's setting, that super glue, here's our little 9-volt one all set. And look at that. This glue is amazing. It is really, really good. It protects all the wires. You can't catch it. You put that in your pocket and it's going to be just fine. Nothing is going to come off that, which is nice. Okay. So we've got our button stuck on there, and on the back we're going to do the same thing with our LED holder. Bit of super glue. Just a tiny little dab, and look at that funny little thing. Look at that. All right, now we just want to join all the wires up so that they work in the circuit. So the thing to remember with all this stuff is all we're doing is creating a circuit. That's all we're doing. And the nice thing about this tiny voltage is you can't really do any damage. All right. Cool, so there we go. So that's going. Now I'm just going to tidy it up by snipping off a few of these wires. Wonk. Nice, that looks nice and tidy. Okay, so let's take a look. The red wires are going through the button, out to the battery, and then out to the LED, and look at that. Now here's a little tip. I like to leave the legs quite long on the LEDs so that we get a bit of separation away from the tool. You don't, so you can see pretty clearly there, I hope, that if you push it all the way in, it's just not going to go all the way in. So I get into the habit of either trimming the LEDs or just pushing them in a little bit, and you get the hang of that. Okay. So I'm going to put some glue onto here. Now when you're putting the glue on this one, you want to really make sure you don't get it onto the button. And you don't even need to put glue on this, but it certainly keeps things tidy. All right, here we go. So let's have a bit of a recap. So this is my fancy pants 3D printed one. Fundamentally, we've just created exactly the same thing with a 9-volt battery. So we can put any LED in there and it will work. This one's obviously quite sort of big, you know, but you can take the battery out of it and pop it into things. These little button ones are a lot smaller, a lot more compact. Nice one. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up a bit of a black backdrop. And let's head over to the, and yeah, I'll show you how they work. We'll grab some LEDs and we'll get into it. Yeah, nothing really else here to go over. That was awesome. That was a lot better than yesterday. All right, let's go make some light painting. So here we go. So what I've done is I've set up a little bit of a backdrop here in the studio. It's very, very bright in here because it's the middle of the day. But here we go. So here is here's our little tool. And I've just got a selection of LEDs, and all I'm going to do is in here is set up the stills camera. Now you can do a whole lot of different things with these. You can light up, see I'm lighting up the camera here, you can light up products, you can do portraits with them or whatever. But for the purpose of this, I just want to just use this in front of the camera so you can get a bit of an idea of what some of the different LEDs do. We're using the 9-volt one. I'm going to turn this light off over here so that we get a little bit of darkness in here. All right, so the first thing I need to do is turn the camera on, and I just want to focus really close to the camera so that it sort of fills the frame. All right, so I've got the shutter set to 2.5 seconds, f11. So here we go. Yeah, wicked, there we go. All right, now this is a very bright LED. So that's at f11, so I'm just going to go all the way to f22. Here we go. Open. Wicked. Now this is an RGB, clear RGB LED. Yeah, nice, look at that. All right, so really quickly, let's just change out to some different LEDs. So I'm going to get rid of that one. That's the RGB one, I'll pop it in my pocket. What do I got here? I've got a solid yellow one. Let's grab that, pop it in there. There we go. Open. Nice. Now, of course, the other one was super bright, so we're just going to open up to F8. Here we go. 2 seconds. What? Nice. Now, of course, it's very bright in here, so you can actually see my hand in the image. Here we go. That is very cool. So we've done solid yellow in the pocket, so we don't do it again. Okay, here's one of our little faceted ones. All right, open. Now that's very bright. Ah, that's so nice. So you can see the texture of that faceted part on there. I think we looked at these in the tutorial the other day. Now, of course, you can do all sorts of crazy different things with these. I mean, the world is your oyster with a hiya. All right, so let's grab an amber one, and I'll show you something really cool that we can do. Okay, so open. Nice, quite bright. Now I want to go a little longer because I want to show you some things. So I'm going to go to 5 seconds, but because this room is super bright, I'm just going to go to F11 and do a quick test. Sound effects essential. Okay, so that's cool. So I have got the amber one in there, and what I'm going to do is a complementary color to amber is blue. I'm going to stick, and look at that. So we've got the two of them in there. And we can spread them apart a bit. All right, watch this. That's really nice. Okay, so you get the idea, right? You can add different LEDs together for different textures. I'll tell you one that I want to grab is my flashing RGB one. My diffuse RGB. Here we go. So here's that flashing diffuse RGB one we had. Look at that. Now it does I'll show you. Okay, you need to move this one. Ah, that's so good. I'm going to close down a bit and go again. Nice, look at that. All right. Gonna write my name. All right, here's a trick. For ages, I used to, when I was writing my name, I would do it try and do it backwards, but D-E-N-I-S. Oh my gosh, here's the unfortunate thing about my name. If you're a little aggressive with the downstroke on the D, what does it say? That is so funny. What you do now is in post, you flip it and your words will come around the right way. I mean, you could get reasonably creative with these, with portraits, I suppose. It's very bright in this room, so this... Anyway, let's not muck around. Alrighty, there we go. Well, oh, actually, I'll just make one with the button so you can see that it actually does work. How compact is that? It's so nice. All right, here we go. This is just a plain white LED with our button. Look at that. Look how compact that is. All right, here we go. Look, there we go. There's our button lights and our light riders. Yeah, a bit of a schmozzle of a couple of days, but I hope that what this does is, if anything, if you take anything away from this, it's just this understanding of how a circuit works. It's how you connect a battery, a button, and an LED to get some action. It's a huge amount of fun. It's super safe, and ultimately, it's super cheap. These parts are, yeah. What I might do is in the description of the video, I'll put a link to all of these parts from a shop here in Australia. And then you'll be able to get an idea of what to buy and where to buy it. But there you go. Ah, the School of Light, our first tool tutorial. I hope we make a bunch of these. They could be a huge amount of fun. Anyway, let's get into it. Busy day. Peace.